Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, and that's quite a dramatic report as the situation last night in New York City, home of Columbia University. Even more violence at UCLA after different groups of protesters actually clashed at the UCLA campus. Good morning, New Hampshire. Good morning, Maine. Good morning, the rest of the nation and beyond. Thousands streaming on our any device, laptop. Hey Google, hey Alexa, iPhone, Android, the pulse of an inch streaming. Wow, what big numbers, especially in the 9 to 10 and 9 and then the 10 to 11 hours and across our metro region, listening region. Of course, WTSN right up into Portland, Maine. Good morning, Maine, where they need more good news talk, so we're providing that for them. WTSN 1270 AM 1270 AM 98.1 FM. Mike Pomp just finished up the Morning Information Center. By the way, 2 weeks from today, and welcome to May. Welcome to May. Cloudy start, but welcome to May. We go 12 hours for our veterans. My 10th annual Make 12 Hours Count for Veterans Count, part of Easter Seals. And Mike will kick off the morning at 6 a.m. We go 12 hours uninterrupted for our veterans. And, of course, WTPL 107.7 FM, Lakes Region, we have you blanketed. J-Dog on the boards. Bruins came up short last night. And, J-Dog, I have to tell you, before we get into the heavy news talk of the day, I stayed up entirely for this one, including the OT. It was a tight OT, bad rebound, but the Bruins and J-Dog, they're going back up to Toronto for a Game 6. This makes me a little bit nervous, even though the Bruins do have the edge. They have two chances to get one, but two chance. You know how you know how it swings. You know how momentum swings in these series, right? And by the way, they won last night without Matthews. He was sick. Yeah, he'll probably is going to be in the next game. Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah. No, no momentum. Yeah. All right. We'll see. All right. A couple other news talk before I get to some talking points coming up. We're talking about the local economy. Federal Reserve finishing their 2-day meetings today. They're not going to be lowering the interest rates like they thought they would going into June. They're not going to lower the interest rates 0.25%. So interest rates, I was just looking at this and looking at some of these calculations. A fixed 30-year mortgage right now for most local banks is just over 7%, twice as much monthly cost to borrow the same amount of money when it was obviously 3% or more than twice. So we're going to keep you an eye, give you a quick check-in on the economy. President Trump, former President Trump, presumptive Republican nominee, Trump's out campaigning after being in the courtroom. So we'll see where that all goes as we get into our week. One of the big stories this week, of course, was that CNN poll the other day. 70% of Americans, 70, big number, do not feel the economy is in good shape. They think it's poor. And Trump is leading Biden in that same CNN, not Fox, CNN poll, not by a little, beyond the margin of error, which is interesting. We'll see how all this goes. I want to take a moment on all this college stuff. So last night, as I said, admittedly, I was watching the Bruins Maple Leafs, and I was very much aware, based on the news alerts and our own network too, that the New York City police were getting ready to finally move in to clear the the dean's office, Hamilton Hall, to clear the situation at Columbia University. And, it's interesting. If you watch, I was talking to a buddy this morning who was watching the news coverage where I was watching the Bruins and I was more looking online at the situation. Cause this was pretty late last night. This was in the evening. So New York City Police Department really planned this. They go in, asked by Columbia University officials and come in and clear the students out. This has gone on long enough. And one network that begins with CNN's with N, they were there in New York City covering it, as was Fox News. Let's just go with the two kind of evening cable, the big news players. So CNN, Fox, they were both, which is a good thing. It's a big story covering this as New York City police and SWAT team and riot gear moving into a college campus. Pretty big deal. I mean, a lot of this seems surreal when you wake up. Is this 1960s all over again? A deja vu, Yogi Bear. Is this 1960s all over again? So one network was playing up the fact that how heavy duty the police were going in. They had their batons, their shields, riot gear. And the other network was talking about how precision like and strategic and calm the police were. I'll let that one stand. But let's give credit where credit's due. Okay. So you've had these students way, in my opinion, way overboard. This thing went beyond peaceful, and they broke into the building, breaking glass. They go in, they're taking over the Hamilton Hall, the Dean's building at Columbia, demanding this, demanding that, chanting this, anti-American, anti-US, let alone anti-Israel, and all the stuff we've talked about now for weeks. So they're in there in big numbers. They're getting emboldened. It's getting pretty serious, and it could have been a whole different situation. But how about credit where credit's due for once? How about credit where credit's due for once? Now, in my opinion, the Columbia administration and the president, tough job. Wouldn't want it, by the way. Tough job. But again, I don't think last time I checked, I would be asked to be the president of Columbia University or any university for that matter. But here's my point. Um, they finally, in my opinion, not too late, but they should have done this earlier, diffuse the situation and explain to students they're not in charge. There are rules, there are laws. You've been warned enough. Get back to classes or get the heck out of here. But they cleared it. So last night, New York City Police, not Columbia, not campus security, New York City Police, the best they have. They planned it. They went in and they strategically and surgically did this very effectively, actually using special devices, it turns out, to fool, by the way, the agitators. I don't know who thinks of these terms. Sounds like a new Marvel Comics, the agitators. The agitator. Are you an agitator? Well, anyway, they went in, they fooled the agitators, and they quickly cleared the Dean's building. They quickly did this, okay? Strategically. They did it effectively. How about giving credit to the police? In a very volatile, emotional situation, they kept their cool, they kept their calm, they did what they're trained to do, and they resolved and accomplished the mission of clearing the students out. They made arrests. I think there were over 100 arrests. They cleared them out, and guess what? They did a pretty darn good job. That's right. The police did a pretty darn good job professionally, even though the students were saying, shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. Well, you know what? Shame on you, students. This stuff. When you see Columbia University clearing these protesters out, when you see Columbia, the last one that would do this, take action, enough's enough. And you know what I was thinking this morning? How sad, because it gives me no joy, and it shouldn't give any one of us any joy with all the stuff going on in our lives. A serious situation in the Middle East. And by the way, I've said this repeatedly on the show, but you can't tell the agitators this because they don't even think it happened. There was no war in the Gaza Strip, and there was a ceasefire in place before October 7th when Hamas went in and butchered and murdered how many Israelis? Was it 1,400? I mean, the worst attack Israel's ever seen on their domestic homeland. They went into the Israel villages, the analogy of us 9/11, and babies, raping girls, killing. They targeted schools. The terrorists went in, and then they ran right back into Gaza. I don't want to relive this. I don't think you do either. But the facts and the points have to be made. There was no war. There was no need for a ceasefire in Gaza and the Gaza Strip until Hamas went in and attacked Israel and then ran back into Gaza, knowing Israel would go in to go after them. There was no need for a ceasefire. Now, Secretary of State Blinken's trying to get one. He's in Israel today. But my point is this: how sad is it this morning as we look at all over the country? Police are tearing down encampments at the University of Wisconsin, an encampment. They cleared Columbia. But how sad is it we see students at UCLA, and I mean this seriously, I'm not being flippant. How sad is it? We should take no joy in this because peaceful protest is fine. But at UCLA, this is not peaceful. There are Israeli students clashing with pro-Palestinian protesters. It was violent. And these are our young people in this country. And how sad is it while we have tensions in the Middle East, we have tensions on our campuses and the homeland here, and our students fighting each other, one another over this. I'm not saying what's happening in terms of Israel's security and survival and the fact that Hamas wants to obliterate Israel, as does Tehran and the other terrorist proxies, ISIS, you name it. And you can have students saying it's only about peace and ending the situation and supporting the Palestinians. But you know what? Hamas is the governing body in Gaza Strip of the Palestine. They are a terrorist organization. But how sad is our students that this is coming to bloodshed here at home? Over this. And I'm not saying it's not worth it, but it's just sad. There's nothing positive here. And then when we take the, we peel back the onion, if you will, on Colombia. And there was an interesting story, and I'll go to a break on this. There was an interesting story. I think it was, Fox, not CNN. And the New York City Police Department. Now, this is something I think you should check out yourself because it speaks volumes. The New York City Police Department released a video showing a professional protest consultant at Columbia University at work, a 63-year-old woman who's paid and is a professional. It doesn't matter what the cause is, whether it was Occupy Wall Street, shut down the highways, Black Lives Matter, no matter what the reason to cause chaos and violence in American society, no matter what the cause, this principled person, I'm joking on principled, 63-year-old woman has been identified in this video. She has a long history of basically professionally training the agitators on how to take over buildings. So this this professional. I didn't even know what an agitator. I know what you know what I'm saying, but the term agitator, most Googled probably term in the last week. Agitator. Now it's a cool term instead of just basically militant mob. But this woman was training, instructing the mob at anti-Israeli, not pro-Palestinian, anti-Israeli tactics to take over Hamilton Hall at Columbia University. She's like a pro. And even New York City Mayor Eric Adams spoke about this outside in a conference last night. So a lot of this stuff, I didn't know you could make a living as a professional protester. Doesn't matter the cause, by the way. Doesn't matter. There's no real conviction here. She just goes around and will tell people how to cause mayhem, destruction, take over. Professional, agitator, instructor? Commentary, 60. Well, it's not commentary. It's fact. 603-228-2080. So come back. We'll talk about the local economy. Fed leaving the interest rate unchanged. They finished up their meetings today. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an Age. Back in a few. All right, welcome back. And coming up, we are going to hear from Bob Jackman on the from the Valley side of things on the great stuff for your homes. And then a little bit later, I'll get an update from Manchester VA. I want to bring in Michael Graham, New Hampshire Journal, NHJournal.com. This is a pretty cool one. Not that what Michael usually has in his media outlet is not cool, but this is a cool one on the SBA in New Hampshire yesterday, recognizing a bunch of businesses, really looking at our local economy and recognizing a lot of businesses, and we'll talk about them in a moment, for being good small businesses. Michael, good morning. Good morning, Michael. Oh, he's not there. He's there, but he's not. Mike, you there, Michael? Well, Michael Graham, New Hampshire Journal. Talk about some small business stuff. Yeah, yeah, I saw that. Yep. What was your what was your answer? Oh, you realize, yeah. There's a lot of great small businesses that are recognized here in your article. People can reference this, New Hampshire Journal, NHJournal.com. Bunnies and chocolate win big at New Hampshire NHSBA Awards, but there's a bunch of other businesses mentioned. But Michael, the day that the SBA is here doing these recognitions, a day or two, was it just Monday? CNN poll comes out. CNN, not Fox. 70% of all Americans, 70% of Americans feel the economy is in poor shape. Mhm. Yeah. Yes, Michael. A few minutes. No, no, just, that them doing this a few minutes. No, I'd go to Kevin Landrigan. No, I'm not. No, I'm not that old. No, these guys, Michael, stop. They're older than me, but go ahead. Yeah. Yep. Mhm. Mhm. Because part of their own base that they need to survive politically are anti-Semitic supporters. So the far left progressive side of the Democrat Party is anti-Semitic, and these, Shaheen, Custer, they know it, and Hassett know it. Chris Pappas, to his credit, seems to have a better political compass than his colleagues because he always, once in a while, more than once in a while, he actually breaks away and has some common sense. But the others don't have the. I don't want to say this because I like some of these people and I respect them and I mean that. I've known the Shaheens a long time and I have a great relationship on the show with Senator Shaheen. I respect what she's done. I mean, who wouldn't? She's governor, U.S. senator, former state senator. She's been around this, but sometimes they don't have the what. And I saw it when the DNC was taking away our primary. They don't have at the moment it's happening. They're afraid to stand up and say, you know what, the left side of our party's gone too far, and there's no place for being anti-Semitic in the United States of America. Period. End of story. And they just are afraid that they're going to upset that far progressive, energetic, the squad. They're afraid the squad's going to come after them. All right. Thank you, Mike. Yep. All right, thank you, Michael Graham, NHJournal.com. Thank you, Michael. It's rather remarkable. New York City Mayor is actually speaking now after the Columbia, let's just say the agitators have been taken away and out. The some degree of normalcy is returned to Columbia University. But what a powerful image! If you haven't seen it, the New York City Police Department deserve. And I love watching Blue Bloods with Tom Selleck, and who'd want to be a police officer in New York City or a major city today? Who would want the job? That's one question. That's sad. That's really sad. But kudos to the New York City Police Department. They systematically, calmly, and orderly distracted and actually tricked the agitators so there would be less violence in terms of clearing the area, and those who wanted to resist arrest taken away in an orderly fashion. There's a great image of them just going in on this plank into through a window in an area, just kind of calmly going into the building, and just look at the number. They were there in force. They were going to do their job, but they did it professionally. They did it professionally, and they did it right. Like 99% of most law enforcement here locally and beyond, and they don't get credit for it when they do it right. But if something went wrong yesterday, last night, oh my goodness, will we hear about it, right? But where's the hey, I'm a United States senator. What a professional display by the New York City Police Department. Hey, I'm governor of New York. Thank you. Thank you. In the thankless job in New York City, thank you for restoring order at Columbia University. How about the president of Columbia? I mean, how about a thank you to the police? Now, I'm not saying they need it. They're professional. They get paid. It's like thanking the military. A lot of people say, hey, they signed up for a check. Why are you always supporting them? Because they don't have to do the job. It's rather thankless. They're not overpaid. And half the time people are calling them names and not appreciating them, especially in big cities in America today, which is pathetic. And they did their job professionally. How about the good going, New York City Police Department? Hey, great job. Great job. Thank you for restoring law and order. Back in a moment. Good morning, Hampshire, the pulse of an age. Well, I thought the number was over 100. 300 of those agitators, Columbia arrested just at Columbia. 300. Wow. Maybe it's part of their higher education. Hey, I'm going to switch gears completely, and I got to tell you, I love this title, Bob Jackman, LaValle Middleton University Director. How smart is this company? What a wonderful locally owned and operated company across our listening region. Of course, if you go by and you're looking for that weekend warrior job or to do over a major job in your house or put in a garage or even get a new roof, you can go talk to their experts. And Bob Jackman today wants to talk about you, the consumer, being educated. Good morning, Mr. Bob. Yeah. All right, take it away. Mhm. Mhm. Yep, and yep, and you know what I've noticed because my smarter, prettier, better half has been, in the design, kitchen, bath, design, business in a long time, and she works with some wonderfully talented, home builders. I'll just mention a few. Andrew Guyton out there in the Seacoast, Sean Peters, and these. But she's explained to me the expertise level that some of these home builders and remodelers and installers have. And no offense, a lot of them are different. Like some expertise on windows. There's just some people that know just about everything about windows and sliders for your home. And then there are some that know a lot about like the different granites and stuff for your kitchen. And then there are some that are really, really good at siding. So there's so many experts out there, and you really got to tap that individual expertise if you follow me. What's that again? No, your brother's story. Yep. Yep. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wait, now wait a minute. I gotta talk about this brotherly thing for a minute. Are you a typical brother and do you give him a hard time and say, don't you know I'm Bob Jackman and I could have helped you? No brother rivalry there? Uh-oh, watch out. All right, but I think the educating the consumer, you made a point. We all make this, I mean, it's inevitable today, Bob. Face it, this thing called Google. We all have these phones and we'll search for anything. And sometimes there's diminishing returns because I personally think it's better to go into one of your locations. And it happened to me once because I needed to do stuff on my back porch and I went into one of your folks in Hampton and the guy was so knowledgeable. He listened to me. I'm not the best at this, but I'm not the worst. And he said, you know what? Let me take you out back to our lumber area. I think I know I think I have a solution for you. I'd rather go in and ask an expert in person than sit there searching and not knowing if all the information I'm getting is really and can I do it myself without that expertise? Going to an expert. It's like a you don't operate on yourself, right? You don't take out your own appendix, right? Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, and you know what I've noticed in our segments, Bob Jackman, I love the title. I'm sorry, Valley Middleton, University Director, with no agitators on campus, by the way. But here's my point, Bob. Over the time, whether we've talked about backyard, what I'd call, but they're getting much better. They're almost like tiny homes, sheds, roofing, modular project, renovation, windows, doors, all the stuff that you folks do. um, there's someone at the Valley Middleton you can go talk to about that. Even if they're not doing the job themselves, even if they're not doing the roof themselves, they can give you to make you a educated consumer tips about redoing your roof and maybe even point you in the right direction, right? Yeah. Well, and again, don't be because I did this. Don't be what's the word, Bob? Reluctant, reticent to go into one of your locations on a fishing mission, if you know what I mean, just to go talk to someone if you're not sure, versus ordering something online that you may have to go down to that local store to return, spend a lot of money, lose some money, or get the wrong purchase, right? Right. Right. Oh yeah. Venus and Mars, Venus and Mars. All right, Bob. Appreciate it. University director. Do I have to call you professor? Hey, oh yeah. No, it's a smart it's a smart company. By the way, employment opportunities, check them out. They're always looking for good team members, right? And Bob, do you mind because you and I have a relationship outside in terms of emails and back and forth communications. Can you just send me your brother's contact with the log home? Because I want to call him and ask him and say your brother was busting your chops for not asking him for help on those leaky windows. Thanks, Bob. Have a good one. More than 300 arrested at Columbia University last night. I thought it was 100 when I went to bed. More than 300 of the agitators. And by the way, check out the article of the professional instructor for those agitators. New York City Police Department released a video of the 63-year-old woman. She goes around telling anyone how to become a professional agitator, whether it's Occupy Wall Street, shut down the, pickup truck drivers for electric vehicles, you name it. Doesn't matter the protest. She's a pro. Unbelievable. Hey, we're going to come back and tell you about a new member at the senior team of the Manchester VA. Julie Vos, yeah, acting director, will be joining us in a moment. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the pulse of an age. Hey, a reminder, JDog, it's 2 weeks from today. We go 12 hours for our veterans. My 10th annual Make 12 Hours Count for Veterans Count. It's part of Easter Seals, but it's a wonderful effort to help veterans out there. So many great care coordinators. So, in the effort of helping veterans, supporting veterans, caring for veterans, we check in with our friends at Manchester VA, and Julie Vos is the acting director right now of the entire facility. And she joins us with an update from the Manchester VA, which is, of course, beyond the main building there and their facilities and services around our region with a new senior member. Take it away, Julie. Hey, doctor, thank you. Well, that's pretty cool. Tell us a little bit more about your medical, your background, what your mission there will entail, doctor. Mhm. Mhm. And doctor, what about your new mission as deputy? What drew you to the VA versus, say, other medical facilities, private, and things like that? Awesome. And Julie, in terms of adding to your team, how psyched are you to have the doctor, playing this role? And any final thoughts, doctor? And I was going to ask you both. You mentioned nursing there quickly, Julie. I know that a year or two ago, all New Hampshire healthcare facilities, practices were really hungry for more nursing and support type medical folks. How are you doing on the nursing front? You mentioned Nursing Week, and how are we doing as a state? I know the governor's talked about it on my show, trying to recruit more. I know Tom Raffio's talked about how you doing there, and then maybe a final word from the doctor. Again, great stuff, doctor, and I wish you the best. And Julie Vos, the acting director. Thank you both very much. And when's Nursing Week, Julie? All right, next week. All right, we will appreciate the nurses. Thank you very much, both, and enjoy your Wednesday. I almost said Tuesday. The week is moving. I'm still trying to get over the Bruins losing that in overtime last night to the Maple Leafs. Thank you. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about more than 300 students cleared from the Dean's Building at Columbia University last night. And how about this? Great job, great professional job showing restraint and effectiveness by the New York City Police Department, who went in there and cleaned out the building, if you will, restoring law and order. What a novel concept. Oh my goodness, the kiddies got to get back. The agitators got to get back to learning in class. But check out the article the New York City Police Department released on this one woman, 63-year-old. They have video of her in action. A professional agitator trainer. Did you know there's such a living where you can go out and teach people no matter the cause? Occupy Wall Street, you know, um, shut down natural gas, anti-Israel. There's professionals out there to teach these students. 63. That's what she does. Not a lot of conviction, but she's a professional agitator instructor. Hey, Google. Hey, Alexa, play The Pulse of an Age. Back in a flash.